Praise the Lord. Ave Maria. Hope all of you are doing well. We are coming to the close of our Be Joyful series, and I hope you are making most of it. Many of my close friends reached out to me and challenged me, saying, Biju, is self-care or the only way in which you can be joyful? And possibly today I'm going to give them an answer. My answer to you is to experience true joy. Your heart has to shift from self-centeredness to other-centeredness. It's about transforming your desire, your life goals. It's about transforming your attitude. This video also holds the biggest irony in this whole series, the paradox of the cross. The spiritual law that the only way to find joy is to forget your own quest and help others find it. The only way to truly shine is to help others shine. The only way for someone to fully find himself is through a sincere gift of himself. In short, if you want to really live, you have to lay down your life. For no hero, no inspiration, no saint, no person you ever looked up to was self-centered. If you did like to be average, skip this video. If you want to live an uncommonly heroic life with an uncommon joy, watch on. I think we are overloaded with self-help books who often focuses on your success. That's not unimportant, but its importance is definitely overrated. What you really want is to be happy. Your own success doesn't make you happy. Jesus' first question to humanity in the Gospel of John is, what do you seek? John 1:38. He wants to wake us up to what's going inside our hearts. Are you the boss of your longing? Or do you go through life with an unchecked longing for that house, job, money, achievement because you are convinced it will bring you joy when you know it won't? You need to be aware of your longing and take actions to direct it. Or in your quest for joy, you will end up miserable. Service corrects and directs our desire. And no matter how hard your life is right now, and no matter how many limitations you suffer, you can begin to experience joy of reaching out beyond yourself through service. Blessed Chaira Badano, a saintly teen who died of cancer at the age of 18, used to walk around the hospital in pain from the growth of hers to counsel depressed patients. When she was told to rest, she did reply, I have time to rest later. When she could no longer walk, she said, see, I have nothing left, but I still have my heart, and with that I will still love. If you look at her picture, you can see the mind-bending joy on her face as she lays on her deathbed. No matter where you are, you can tap into the joy of service. Anne Frank once said, no one has ever become poor by giving. To the contrary, our hearts become rich. And that doesn't apply to money and food, but to time and attention. When you are in pain, in some way, get out. Get out of your head and serve someone else. Are you feeling lonely? Pick up the phone and call a friend who is lonelier than you. Are you obsessed of a bad breaks in your life? Call somebody who had a harder road than you. Encourage them. Are you broke? Help someone who's more broke than you. It will lift you up. And it will give you some dose of perspective. Remember, God chose to need us. He chose to rely on us. That's because while He could serve all humanity's need by Himself, He wanted to share His joy with us. A joy we can only experience as we love and serve others. Lose yourself and you will find it again. Try to save your life and you will lose it. Matthew 16:25. That's the path of Jesus Christ. That's the path of the way of the cross. In another place, Jesus tells His disciples, "Take up your cross and follow me." Matthew 16:24. That statement doesn't shake us to our core like it should. 2000 years after the age of crucifixion, we are sterilized to the word cross. But to give you some context, if he would have said that today, He would have said, "Sit in your electric chair and follow me." That's how disturbing that phrase should sound to us. Die, and I promise you will find the life you were made for. But only if you die to yourself. I am not saying you should kill your dreams. Go ahead, achieve, conquer, succeed and thrive. But if you want to be happy doing all that, don't make it about you. As the joyful Paul wrote to the Philippians from chains, in Philippians 2:5, he said, "Have this mind among yourself, which was in Jesus Christ." Paul is inviting us to trade in our rusty old patterns of thinking for a new mind. Our old minds evolved to obsess of self-preservation, but we have the mind of Christ. 1 Corinthians 2:16. Paul continues, "Though He was in the form of God, did not count equality with God a thing to be grasped, but emptied Himself, taking the form of a servant." Paul isn't just exhorting us to do service. He wants you to think like a servant. He doesn't want you to do the dishes with a chip on your shoulder. He doesn't want you to buy vegetable for your family as if you're doing a favor to them. He doesn't want you to polish your hollow before you serve poor. He wants you to consider yourself a servant just doing His duty. As Jesus says, when you have done all that is commanded, say, "We are unworthy servants. We have only done what was our duty." Luke 17:10. That sounds like a harsh word, but Jesus spoke them because He wanted your joy to be complete. And if you don't put on the mind of servant, you can't have joy. Taking on the mind of a servant doesn't only make you holier, it makes you happier. It doesn't only unlock your potential as human beings, it releases flood of joy into your soul. I see this principle play out in my life constantly. Now we come to our how-to section. So how do you change your mind into a servant so that you can live with deeper freedom and joy? Here are my simple tips. First, claim it out aloud. I'm a fan of articulating truth to yourself as a part of your day. Remember, God didn't reveal His truth to you so you will wait for me to preach to you. You need to preach it to yourself out aloud. My friend is a very busy man. He's a loving dad. But I think the key of his happiness and success lies in the way he mentally sets up the course of his day. When he wakes up and before he hits the day, He falls on his knees, kisses the floor, and says one word in Latin, Serviam. It means, I will serve. When we take on the mind of a servant, we become a source of light. We shine like the sun into every place we go. Your mood doesn't matter as much as your will. Say it aloud. Serviam. I will serve, and begin to shift your thinking. Don't just sit there and do something is my tip number 2. I've been to places where poor live, and I have met orphans in places that are overrun with parentless children. It's amazing how much they just want to be held. Feel like you have nothing to give? Can you hold an orphan? You need to do something for the poor, for your own sake. Not just the spiritually poor, the literally poor. Read Matthew 25. The cheat sheet for your final exams. Whatever you did for them, you did for Christ. Whenever you didn't do for them, you failed to do it for God Himself. We underestimate our impact because we weigh things with wrong scales. We only see life in one dimension. We only see the here and now. But when we stand before God at the end of times, outside of time, we'll see that our stage was a span of millennia. We'll see the ripple effect of all the little things we have done. Each concrete act of love is of infinite importance. My third simple tip is give money away. It's been said that money can't buy happiness. That's not true. It's a scientifically proven fact that money can, in fact, make you happy, but only when you spend it on people. Even Jesus said, it's more blessed to give than to receive. Acts of the Apostles 20:35. Turns out, once again, the science backs Jesus. I know a friend who gives to many charities every month. He says it is addictive. My friend is not rich, so he doesn't give tons away, but he gives what he can. And he does cash out a lot of joy. Winston Churchill once said, we make a living by what we get. We make a life by what we give. Be an answer to a prayer. When we give, we can have the joy of being God's answer to someone's prayer. I was in a hotel and I heard a woman who was working at the hotel's kitchen say to her co-worker, Lord, I did be so blessed if I had one of these waffle maker to bring home for my grandkids. When I came back to my hotel room, I called my wife and told her, oh, these people are so wonderful. They use sacred words like Lord and blessed as a part of their conversation. I remarked on how many blessings like our waffle maker we take for granted. And my wife was horrified that I was merely inspired rather than spurred to action. She yelled, are you crazy? Get her a waffle maker. I went and found out how to get her a package and ordered a best waffle maker that I could afford. She'll never know who did that, but she knows her prayer was answered. I felt great. God answers prayer through us, big, small. At the same time, He answers our deepest prayer of joy.